so this lesson is on literal equations. What this means is I'm going to give you an equation, like example 1 down here. I'm going to say solve for a variable. So in this one I'm saying solve for y. So what our goal is to get that letter by itself. And we did a little bit of this in our very first lesson that we did, solving for y. But today I'm going to introduce you to a lot of different types of equations that you might have to solve for. Okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Write down example 1. You also need to write down the red part for y. That is telling us what letter I want to get by itself. So pause it, write it down if you need to, but here we go. Whatever letter we're trying to solve for, I put a box around. So I want to get y by itself. So I need to move the 3x and the 4. Well, which do I move first? Hopefully you remember you want to move the 3x first, because that 4 and y are attached. So that 4 is the very last thing you want to move. Whatever is attached is the last thing you want to move. So I'm going to move this 3x. And the opposite of positive 3x is negative 3x. And if you do it on the left, you do it on the right. So my 3x's go away. I'm going to bring down 4y. If you remember, you want to put your x first over here. So it's a negative 3x and it's a positive 7. Now, the reason I just rewrote it is because I cannot combine these. I cannot do 7 minus 3x and get 4x because that 7 doesn't have an x. So if you can't combine them, you just rewrite it. Okay? I'm still not done though, because y, here's y, is still not by itself. It's got a 4 with it. So I want to move that 4. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. I'm going to divide, I'm going to divide, I'm going to divide by 4. So these 4's cancel. Here, we're going to do this division in our calculator. So grab your calculators. We're going to do negative 3 divided by 4. And you get negative 0.75. Now, remember we don't like decimals anymore, so we're going to change it to a fraction. So you hit this math button right here, math, enter, enter. So I get negative 3/4. I'm going to put negative 3/4 and bring your x down with it. Okay, now let's do this division. 7 divided by 4. 1.75. I don't want a decimal, so I'm going to change it to a fraction. And I got positive, so I put plus 7/4. And this is your answer. So before the last lesson, you know we got numbers for our answers. We're not going to do that for this lesson. You're going to have a long equation, sometimes long, sometimes short, as your answer. Okay? So no more you just get a number for an answer. We're going to get equations for answers. Let's do another one. Write this one down. We're going to solve this one for t. Draw a line. I'm going to box in. This is what I'm trying to get by itself. So what I want to do is look and see what's over here with the t. A 2m. How do I move that 2m? Well, it's a positive, and the opposite of a positive is a negative, 2m. Now, if you do it on the left, you do it on the right. I'm going to do minus 2m. Take a second. Why would I line it up under the 3 and not under the 5? Hopefully you realize because the 3 has an m, and I can only combine an m with another m. So on the left, these 2's go away, and I have t left. On the right, I can combine these. 3 minus 2 is 1m, and I can bring down plus 5. Now let's look. Is t by itself? Yes. When you get that letter by itself, you are done. So this is my answer. T equals 1m plus 5. Now, do you need to put that 1? No. Okay? Because we've seen problems where people write it like this, and we know what number is in front of that m, a 1. So both of these are correct. I'm not going to take off points if you put the 1. I'm not going to take off points if you don't put the 1. Okay, both of them are perfectly fine answers. Write this one down. F equals ma. This is a science equation. Force equals mass times acceleration. So what if your teacher asks you to find mass? Well, knowing how to do this is going to help. So again, I box in the letter that I'm looking for. I'm looking for M, and I say to myself, okay, what is over here with the M? Well, there's an A. So I need to move the A. So what are the M and the A doing? They're not adding. It's not a plus sign. They're not subtracting. There's not a subtraction sign. If two letters are right beside each other, that means they are multiplying. And what is the opposite of multiplying? Divide. I'm going to divide by A. I'm going to divide by A. Right? A divided by A is nothing. I'm going to bring down M. And on the left side, you can't type that in the calculator because they're letters. So we're just going to rewrite it. F over A. Now, let's look and see if we're done. Is M by itself? Yes, there's nothing else with it. So this is my answer. M equals F divided by A. So we're talking about it in science terms. Mass equals force divided by acceleration. Let's do another one. D equals 1/2 AT squared. We're going to solve it twice. The first time we're going to solve it for A. Okay, so let's focus on the 4A first. I'm going to put a box around my A. So let's look at what I need to move. I need to move the 1/2 and I need to move the t squared. Now, all three are multiplying, right? If they're all beside each other, that means they're multiplying. And the opposite of multiplying is divide. So I'm going to divide by 1/2 and I'm going to divide by t squared. We can divide both of them in the same step, okay? And if you do it on the left, we're also going to do it on the right, okay? So on the left-hand side, your 1/2s cancel. Half divided by a half cancels. T squared divided by t squared cancels. I'm going to bring down A. The left side is a little bit harder, okay? And here's why. There's really a 1 right there with that D. So these numbers, I need to divide them. I need to do that in my calculator. I need to do 1 divided by 1/2. So let me show you how that's going to look. Let's get our calculator. Move this so we can see. We're going to do 1 divided by, again, I'm typing this part in right here, 1/2. Now, when you're typing in a fraction, when you're dividing by a fraction, you gotta put it in parentheses or your calculator will do order of operations wrong. So look at how I type that in. Y'all please pay attention to this. 1 divided by 1/2. I had to put 1/2 in parentheses because it's a fraction, okay? So 1 divided by 1/2 is 2. Now, anytime you divide, like I did 1 divided by 1/2, I got 2. That 2 goes in the numerator. So it's really 2D divided by, and I still have t squared down in the denominator. A is all by itself, so we are done. A is 2D divided by t squared. Now, I'm sure you're probably really confused. We're going to do it again, okay? We're going to do this problem again. This time, we want to get t squared by itself, okay? I'm doing this one. I want to get t squared by itself. So, same thing. I got to move the 1/2 and I got to move the A. And all of them are multiplying, and the opposite of multiplying is divide. So I'm going to divide by 1/2 A. I'm going to divide by 1/2 A. So 1/2 divided by 1/2 cancels. A divided by A cancels. There's really a 1 in front of that D. So I have got to divide those whole numbers. I've got to do 1 divided by 1/2. So let's type that in. 1 divided by 1/2 is a fraction, so I'm going to put it in parentheses. And 1 divided by 1/2 is 2. And when you divide, you put the answer in the numerator. So I have 2D divided by, and I still have an A down low. And on the right hand side, I'm going to bring down T squared. So T squared is by itself, so this is my answer. T squared equals 2D divided by A. Let's do some more. D equals MV. This time I'm solving for M. I want to get M by itself. So what's with the M? It's a V. If two letters are beside each other, that means they're multiplying, and the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to bring down my M. Here I can't combine anything over here. These won't combine, so I'm just going to rewrite V over V. M is by itself, so we're done. M equals D divided by V. All right, let's try A. I want to get B by itself. So let's look over here. What do I want to move? I need to move the 5 and I need to move the 12C. Now, which do I want to move first? Well, remember, the 5 and the B are attached. So that's the last thing I want to move. So I want to move 12C. And the way I move it is by doing the opposite. So I'm going to subtract 12C. I'm going to subtract 12C. So these 12C's go away. I have 5B. On the left side, can I combine those? Can I do 9 minus 12? No, because that 12 has a C. So if you cannot combine them, we're just going to rewrite it. 9 minus 12C. Take a look at that. Make sure we're good. Okay, I couldn't combine the 9 and the 12, so I just rewrote it. Last step, B is still not by itself, so I need to move that 5. These are multiplying. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. Now on these, I'm going to make it a little easier for you. We can just do it like this. Okay. So my final answer, B is by itself, is 9 minus 12C divided by 5. All right, let's do B. On B, I'm solving for M. So I want to get this M by itself. So I need to move that G, right? I guess it would help if I drew the line for you. I want to move that G. That G is dividing. Okay, that little bar means divide. And the opposite of divide is multiply. So I'm going to multiply by G here. And I'm going to multiply by G here. So these G's cancel. I'm left with M. E times G, you can write it like this, or you don't have to put that dot. You can just write EG equals M. Both of those are right. All right, last one. Let's look at C. I'm trying to get H by itself. So I need to move 2 and pi and R, right? Well, they're all multiplying, so I can do it all in one step. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to divide by 2 and pi and R. So 2 goes away, pi goes away, R goes away, and I'm just left with H. Here I'm going to divide by 2 pi R. Okay? Again, that V has a 1. So I'm going to divide those whole numbers. 1 divided by 2. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. Change it to a fraction, math, enter. So I get 1/2 V divided by pi R equals h. Because remember, when you divide, it goes in the numerator. So 1/2 v divided by pi r. And we are not going to do d. Let's do e really quick. E won't take too long. I want to get p by itself. What's with the p? The 2m. To move it, you do the opposite. The opposite of a positive is a negative 2m. So these cancel. I have p left over there. Can I combine k minus 2m? No, you cannot. So I'm just going to rewrite k minus 2m. And that's it. P is now by itself, so we are good to go. We're not going to do f either. So if you will try worksheet 2.2, little equations. It's just a worksheet, so it's not going to give you your grade or tell you how many you missed. I'm going to have to go in and grade it by hand. Okay? So go try 2.2.